Okay, guys, this second screencast is to explain to you what a Punnett square is and how it helps you predict the outcome of any cross between two, in this case, pea plants. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do a Punnett square, but before I do that, I think I need to explain something about how organisms breed. Okay, so this is my quick explanation. So humans have 46 chromosomes in every one of their cells, except for their egg if you're a female and your sperm if you're a male. And this is true, or this idea is true for any kind of organism that's reproducing. Okay. When you make your egg and your sperm cells, you have to cut the number of chromosomes you have by 1/2. So in other words, an egg cell has only 23 chromosomes and a sperm cell has only 23. And you think about it this way. So here's my egg cell and it's got 23 chromosomes. And this can be in a pea plant. So you have this egg in your pistil in your pea plant. So the sperm of a plant is really the pollen. So your pollen lands on it, okay? And your pollen has 23 chromosomes. And that makes its way down to the nucleus of the egg cell, and those two nuclei come together. 23 plus 23 equal a total of 46 in the very first cell of an organism, okay? And then that cell duplicates and gives each of its offspring 46 chromosomes. So what happens are that the pairs of chromosomes, there's 23, they separate from each other when you make your egg or your sperm cell, okay? So let's say that this tall plant has a pair of chromosomes. Each allele occurs on one of those pairs, so that when they go to form, if it's a female, their egg cells, or if it's a male, their sperm cells, those two alleles separate. And when we do a Punnett square, we try to show that, okay? So a Punnett square, again, is going to try to predict what the offspring are going to look like when you breed two organisms together. And later on, we're going to do this with people, but it's easier to start off with pea plants. Okay, so let's say we are going to breed together the two hybrids that we just talked about. We're going to do what Mendel did. So he took his two sets of pure plants, bred them together, got a bunch of hybrids. They were all tall. And then he took those and he bred those together, okay? When you do a Punnett square, you actually draw what looks like a window pane like this, okay? At the top of each column, let's say this is the dad, the male, okay? You are going to separate his genes just like they separate in a sperm cell and write each gene above one of the two columns. Okay, so this was the dad. This is the mom. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for her over here. So her genotype, because she's a hybrid, is capital T, lowercase t. When she makes her egg cells, those alleles are going to separate. So this is the male sperm. Sorry guys, don't mean to be graphic, but it kind of helps to draw a little picture. And this is the female's eggs. So in these boxes right here, we write down what happens when each type of egg fertilizes or is fertilized by each type of sperm, okay? So let's say this, and I guess we're talking about plants. So let's say pollen instead of sperm, because plants don't have sperm, they have pollen. So this piece of pollen fertilizes this egg. So what happens then are that your new baby plant, your seed, is going to have one of those genes and one of those genes. So into this box, we combine those two genes or alleles, okay? Now, what happens if this lowercase t pollen fertilizes the capital T egg? Well, we show what happens by writing down the capital T from this egg here and the lowercase t from that pollen there, and that's the genotype of that offspring. Let's do the same thing right here. Capital T for this guy, lowercase t for that guy. And then finally, what happens if this pollen fertilizes this egg? Well, then we get lowercase t, lowercase t. So now we can see the genotypes. Okay, I just lost it. We can see the genotypes of the offspring. Okay, the genotypes are capital T, capital T, capital T, lowercase t, right? That's one. That's this guy. There's another capital T, lowercase t there. And then finally, our last genotype is little t, okay? So what will those babies, what will those plants look like? What will their phenotype be? Well, tall, whoops, I don't know where that came from. Go ahead, go ahead. Remember, T is for tall, and it's dominant over lowercase t, which is short. Okay, so this plant would be tall. This plant would be tall. That second guy would be tall. That third guy would be tall. We would have 3 tall plants for every one short. Does that sound familiar to you guys? Well, it should, because that's exactly what happened when Mendel bred his 2 hybrid plants together. In those offspring, he observed 3 tall for every 1 short. So guys, that was an example of a Punnett square, and we're going to be doing many, many more of these.